Since the new year, I've seen 2 people that I know in person. I'm 4 hours away from my nearest family member, and it's going to be a few months more before I can even think about seeing them. Everyone's going through the same lockdown in the UK, but experiences definitely differ. And as I've been living on my own, spending 99.9% of my time in my own company and seeing very few others, I wanted to explain how practically self-isolating for months on end, with a complete absence of people, has affected me. I do have a few caveats before I start though. I know I'm not the only one going through this. I know my experience isn't the worst experience of lockdown. I know there are much bigger problems in the world, and yes, I am practically using a YouTube video as my therapist. And while I am talking about mental health and my own mental health, I don't want pity or praise. I am personally, fundamentally happy. But because there have been some rough periods and it is a difficult experience being on your own for that long, I want to create a bit of a platform to be able to talk about these experiences surrounding mental health. So I'm going to try and put this in the least childish and self-obsessed way I possibly can, and just see how it all unfolds. Social lives have sort of crumbled, haven't they? Nothing's open, so there's nowhere to convene. No pubs, no clubs, no restaurants, means no fun. I do think that people have had more of an opportunity to bond with the people they live with, their family, their housemates. Unfortunately, that is the thing I missed out on. As I said, I've only seen 2 people since the new year. And while it was very similar in lockdown of 2020, in March, this year felt like a big old kick in the teeth. Plans had been made for 2021. I thought I was going to be spending weekends around the country visiting friends and family at different unis while I was still working. So moving for work last September really didn't feel like that big a deal. Of course, I was wrong. But there's no point worrying about whether I should have made different decisions or whether I made the wrong choice. Hindsight is a wonderful yet ultimately pointless thing. Back to the point. When you live with other people, you often find that you do need your own space. That's natural. But when you live on your own, you find that your own space gets pretty boring very, very quickly. While there are plenty of opportunities for connectivity and socialisation online, you've got Zoom, FaceTime, even online gaming, none of them even nearly match up to being in the same room as someone and having that proper human connection. The thing is, everyone's sort of wrapped up in their own lives, as they should be. It's really important to look after yourself. Everyone's going through a difficult time at the moment. But it can be quite difficult when you're on your own to get that socialisation factor, even online, without feeling like a burden. I am quite extroverted. You take people away from me and I do struggle. But in the past, when I've had issues with my mental health and things like that, I've always had somebody I could go to, family, friends, someone who was physically there. When you're on your own, you don't have that so much. I mean, the main reason people don't talk about their mental health in the first place is because they feel like they're being a burden on others. But I'll tell you something, if you have to call someone or find a specific time where you and your friend who's miles away are both available, you feel like much more of a burden than if you can just instigate a spontaneous conversation. So I think that's one of the most damaging things about this lockdown, is the people who are on their own, who already didn't feel like they could talk about their mental health, might not want to talk about it even more. I honestly just want people to understand the benefit they've got of having somebody else to live with them and that actual human connection during this period. It's something I've taken for granted in the past, and I just don't want you to make the same mistake. I do my fair share of drinking. Probably what's more than is healthy, but in reality I never thought it was that much of an issue. I think everyone knows though, as soon as you start drinking alone, that's a problem. The culture clash between an extrovert who likes to have a drink with his mates and someone who can't see their mates is someone who drinks alone. I've seen my alcohol collection that I acquired over Christmas diminish to 1 lowly bottle of port. Fancy, I know. But that's not the only thing I've been drinking. There have been plenty of beers that have gone down alongside that, and I reiterate, it's not healthy. Don't get me wrong, not all of my drinking has been completely alone. I've not been sat in a dark corner with a can of Stella in my palm. You can create some sort of social situation even if it's online, Maybe I'll have a few beers talking to my mates over Zoom. That feels a lot more socially interactive and socially acceptable. Maybe I'll have a couple of drinks playing PlayStation with my mates, talking to them, playing a game, having a beer. Nothing wrong with that. But the problem is, as soon as you turn off the Zoom call or the PlayStation, you do get an overwhelming feeling that you're completely alone. And on top of that, there's a disappointed feeling that you're drunk and you're on your own. It just doesn't feel right. And it definitely doesn't feel the same. Friends are a click away. We live in a very privileged world where we can just pick up the phone to someone very easily. But the vice versa exists as well, and it's only one click from going to being with your friends to being alone again. That is a really f***ing depressing view of the world. Finally, I do think you start justifying drinking alone a lot more. I do this definitely. Oh, the football's on, irons. I'd normally be in the pub having a drink with my mates, so it's fine to have a few beers on my own here. It just feels a little bit like the start of a slippery slope. That's just my 2 cents on how lockdowns affected my alcohol consumption. I'm not making this all depressing though, that'll be an awful video. As I said at the beginning, I am fundamentally happy. And that's because when I've had to practically self-isolate for months on end, I've learned to become very comfortable with myself and with my own space. I've also become a lot more comfortable with the fact that I do occasionally struggle with things related to my mental health, if you didn't know from the last 2 or 3 minutes. But now, instead of just wallowing in them, I've become comfortable that they're there, I'm aware of them, and I'll do my best to improve them. I also think I've taken the opportunity of being alone to try and be better as a person. I mean, meditating, fitness, I took a month off drinking. All these things have given me the opportunity to take on new projects. I mean, you're watching one of them. Read more, learn more, and become not just self-sufficient, but actually learn to thrive on my own. That ability to thrive on my own and not just plod along is something that's really important to me. And I don't think I ever would have had that if I didn't have this much time on my own. Don't get me wrong, I'm really looking forward to seeing people, but in a non-lockdown world, there's a hyperbolic million more reasons why I'd want to live on my own than live with other people. This whole experience has definitely changed my outlook on life, my outlook towards myself, and my mindset. If you've ever had problems with your mental health, if you're struggling at the moment during lockdown, feel free to leave a comment, send me a message on any social media platform. I want to be able to help. I want to be able to talk through your issues, my experiences, and just do whatever I can to be able to help you out. As sort of a way to end all of this, and in all seriousness, I do miss people a lot, and I have struggled without them. I am seriously going to appreciate being able to see them again. Bring on the vaccine, and I hope to see all of you very soon.